All right, everyone, welcome to the week one module. And so I'm going to go to the week one module here, March 30th, April 3rd. When you first access this, it'll probably be April Fool's Day. April Fool's. Not really, this isn't a joke. Really going to do this. So the topic that you're going to be going over is the history of epidemics and pandemics, and specifically the history of epidemics and pandemics in the 20th century and up into the 21st century, like where we're living now. And so here's your learning objectives. Explain the difference between an epidemic and a pandemic. Identify and describe different examples of epidemics and pandemics from the 20th century. Analyze how historical images from past epidemics and pandemics compare to the images and videos you have seen from the one we are currently living through. Now, it's a good question. How many of you actually seen images and videos of the one that we're currently living through? I would assume most of you, but maybe some of you have been in deep into the Matrix playing video games really hardcore like. Next, examine how human mobility or movement has contributed to the spread of disease historically. Identify and discuss themes or topics that show up in multiple historical epidemic and pandemic cases, and assess how historical diseases compare in severity to our current situation so far. And so if you're accessing this video right now, it's because, well, you were on the Google Classroom, and so here's the steps. So we would go to the classroom, la-ti-ti-ti-da. I would go to my selected class, and so I'm going to just go with fourth period because it's my first period of GHW for the 28 of you that are in that class. And if I go to classwork, you'll notice that there is a new category, and it looks a little bit different on your iPad, but categorically the topic should be there. And so this new topic, this new category will contain your e-learning modules. Week one is module one. I would click on that and then access the Google form. The Google form is also back on the web page. And for some, I had fancy icons here and they're not showing up, but I'm not going to re-record because, yeah. Anyways, going back to this, I could have clicked directly on this link on the website, would have brought me to this. My email address, it's amazing, it's right there. And so then you would start going through the Google form. So I would type my name and then my class period. Since I'm in period 4, I'm there. And so then you would need to watch this first video and then answer question items 1 through 3. For the next portion, and I'm just going to go ahead, I'm just going to click the first. Don't do that. Those aren't the right answers. There you go. Okay? Good. It's bad. And then I actually respond to this. And so I gave you a sentence starter. I shouldn't give you a sentence starter, but let me show you like a hack here. If you don't feel like typing this, I could copy it. Oh my gosh, and then I paste it, and then, and then I would have to type what it is, either an epidemic or pandemic in that blank spot, and then because it is an answer. But you're going to actually answer it and not do what I did. I had to do that, though, because to hit next, I had to provide answers. And then next, this next section, the New York Times article analysis, and also there is a link to the New York Times article on the web page as well. So again, going backwards, back through the matrix, it's there, and back to where we were at. So number 4, study the photos of each of the epidemics and pandemics included in the article. What similarities do you notice between the scenes from other epidemics and pandemics and the one we're living through? And so if I go back to the article, photos from a century of epidemics, I'm going to go through. And we know the difference between epidemics and pandemics by this point in the activity. But I would read through, but that first one, I'm not reading through. If I go back to it, it says study the photos. So let's just go scan the photos at first. So that's the front photo. An emergency hospital in Kansas during the 1918 influenza epidemic. It's bad. So keep going. That's an ad. That's not. An image. Ooh, here's an image. That guy's, look at that guy's face. He is not feeling well. He is sick. And that's an interesting face mask thing. We're all worried about like producing respirators, and look at these guys. They just take cloth and tie it around their face. An influenza ward at Walter Reed Hospital in Washington circa 1918. Ooh, look at this one. What's going on here? These are lawmakers making laws and stuff, kind of like lawmakers have been making laws and stuff now. Maybe you've been paying attention to that. I don't know. I'm not subscribing for $1 a week. New York Times, my gosh. San Francisco held court hearings in the open air. Oh, okay, so the government modified how it operated open air because maybe, I don't know. Maybe the flu couldn't survive in the open air. Ooh, we got baseball game. Ooh, we got guys wearing the masks. Umpire, catcher, and a batter. There's a lefty. During the Spanish flu, 1918. Hong Kong flu. Let's look at these pictures. Ooh, this is people getting shots. Owie. Interesting story. My grandfather, I talked to him. He's living in California. He's by himself, so I was calling to check in on him, making sure he's avoiding people so he doesn't get sick, the coronavirus. And he told me about the 1968 Hong Kong flu. He just called it the Asian flu, which was an interesting way to categorize it. But he talked about standing in line, holding my mom, who was 8 at this time, and my aunt, who was like 3. And they were standing in line waiting to get their shots with my grandmother, and he remembers that, and he knows he needs to stay away from people. Hong Kong flu is un-American. Ooh, catch that. That sounds almost kind of racist. But let's keep going. Ooh, guy, he's gargling. Customs officers gargle. Washing their hands, preventative measures. That's crazy. It's amazing. I bet it's talking about washing their hands and gargling with their water. Keep going through the images. That's sad. Sad stuff. Death. And then more. This is the AIDS virus. There was apparently a protest going on there. I don't know if we've had protests with coronavirus. Ooh. Well, the biggest protest we've had with coronavirus is college kids going on spring break in Florida and going to the beaches when they're told not to. And then more stuff, buses, little ballerina girls with masks on, more masks. All right, you guys get the idea. There's that. So go through the article, go through the rest of the questions. Number 4 is a written response, 5 is multiple choice, 6 is a written response, 7 as well, written response, 8 and 9, same. When you're finished, go ahead and submit it, and you are done with your first e-learning module. And that's the end of my video. Thanks a lot.